My name is Tristan Pack. I'm 24 years old. I'm a firefighter out in Kingsport, and I also train Jiu-Jitsu as much as humanly possible, while also teaching the kids program here at Bristol Jiu-Jitsu.
Tell us about your childhood.
Oh boy, my childhood. I'd say it was pretty good. I mean, I'm the youngest of four, so growing up I was bullied a lot by them just because that's sibling love, you know. Grew up in a middle class, I would say, but my dad had to work a lot. He had to work 2 jobs in order to provide for our family during the housing crisis, so I didn't get to see him too much, but I am very grateful that he made those sacrifices for our family. But growing up, I was very recluse as a kid. I played a lot of video games, and that's pretty much all I did. And I didn't really start like coming out of my shell until I started doing martial arts when I was 14. When I was 14, I started with kickboxing and Krav Maga. I have a secondary black belt in that martial arts, so I did it for about 8 years. On top of like running a school that taught that and overseeing a whole program there. So when I started martial arts, definitely helped me build a lot of confidence. It helped me like start working out, like it gave me a purpose to start working out. And then when I was 16, my brother passed away from an accidental drug overdose, and that kind of just spearheaded me, not downward, but I would say it spearheaded me upward to do things better in my life and to learn from like his mistakes. I always say that like the best lesson my brother taught me was dying, because if he hadn't, then I probably would have just remained the same and not really done anything with myself. And so with that being said, I really do thank him for that. You know, I wish he was still here, but without his sacrifice, I don't think I would be where I'm at. And so when I was 16, he passed away. Really got into martial arts a lot heavier, made it like my path in life. Did some wrestling in high school. That was awesome. Loved that. I was a competitive powerlifter for a little bit until I just threw my back out doing stupid stuff. And then, I went to college, did all that. Didn't like it, so I decided to pursue martial arts full time, and from there I became an instructor, head of a school with over 200 students, and that was a really good time. And so that was around like age 19 to about 21. And after that, I ended up quitting my job as a martial arts instructor to train jiu-jitsu full time. One, because that's what the martial art I found that I was really passionate about. I love kickboxing and Krav Maga, don't get me wrong, but I think that those are good starter martial arts, but I just found a lot more love for jiu-jitsu, so I felt since that's where my passion was, I wanted to direct it towards that. And also I had a lot of personal things come up during that time. I had ended a very long-term relationship a week after my grandma had died, and so in that I just decided like, hey, I'm just gonna put all of my eggs into this basket. I don't care how much money I make, I don't care how much time it takes away from like my social life. This is what I'm gonna do. And yeah, so I did that for about 2 years, and then I met my wife, who also trains at Bristol Jiu-Jitsu, and she showed me to God. She showed me a path in life that I would not have had originally. And so then I moved up here, started training at Bristol Jiu-Jitsu, and became a firefighter. So that's kind of like my whole life story in a nutshell.
Can you elaborate on the loss of your brother and how that kind of affected you? I want to hear just a little bit more.
Yeah, so like my brother was the athlete of the family. He was the charismatic, sweet talker, playboy bachelor of our family, and he was his like athletic ability was definitely like the pride of my family. Like my other siblings were athletic, but he was like the star athlete. Me, I just played video games. Like I didn't do anything. So, and when I was growing up, I was really close with him. And then like when I was about 8, a pretty bad family dispute happened where he had to move out for several years while he was in college and in high school and all that. And then when he was about 22, so I would have been 14 or 15, he moved back in with us, and I really started to like form a connection with him, just through like stupid things. Like we watched Dragon Ball Z, and that was like the only thing we had in common, but we would talk about it all the time. And we really started to connect, and we didn't know it at the time, but he was struggling through some drug addiction, and that is eventually what took his life. And I feel like that was taken away from me, like that sense of brotherhood that I'd always wanted my whole life. And so in that, like, the only way I found a way to connect with him, even though he was gone, was through working out and like was through like athletics. Because since he was the star athlete of our family, like I felt like I was honoring him and like really pushing myself physically. It definitely threw a rift in our whole family. Like I don't think my family has ever recovered from it. I do think that I came out of it pretty well. Like I think that I've accepted it, and I think that I've learned a lot, as much as I can from it. It still definitely hurts, like not having a brother, because I never really knew what it was like to have one. And then when I was just about to have one, like it just like all ended. Yeah, that was a very hard time for me, but it brought me to everything that I enjoy now. Like it brought me to writing. Like I've written a couple books, and I would never have done that if it hadn't been through losing him, because I needed to be able to cope with it. It brought me towards pursuing like the physical exercise kind of route, because that's what I did to help cope with it. After he died, I was working out before school at like 5 a.m. I would do a workout, then I would do a wrestling practice, and then I wouldn't be able to sleep, so I would just go to the gym at like 11 p.m. and just do another workout. And I just did that for years and years and years, and that's kind of how I dealt with it. But yeah, I would say it was very difficult, as it would be with anyone losing my brother, because I feel like in turn I also lost like a maybe, like what could have been, and I also lost a lot of my family too from it. Like we've never really recovered from that. I still talk to them every now and then, you know, like I talk to my mom, I talk to my dad, I talk to my sister, but like they're all kind of gone their separate ways, if you will.
Can you talk to us a little bit about all the tattoos? Because you have some unique tattoos, and a lot of them have pretty deep meaning. Yeah,
I think 23 in total. I haven't gotten one in a while, just because I've got to have better financial choices. But when I was younger, I always wanted tattoos. The first one I ever got was actually, I don't know if you can see it, it's on my ankle right here. I always tell people it's a birthmark, because it's really awkward to tell people actually what it is, but I was 17 when I got it, and I got it in remembrance for my brother. It's the drug that he overdosed on. I wanted to get it somewhere where I could hide it with long socks so my parents wouldn't find out. They eventually did. They weren't too happy about it. But so I put it on me as like a reminder to always keep me on the right path, and that's kind of where this comes in. This is a sleeve dedicated to him. We have a clock here of the time we found out he died. I have Cain and Abel right here, and this Latin here is something he told me before he died, is don't make the same mistakes I did. And so I have that on me, so it's like if I ever feel like I'm going down the wrong path, I always try to remind myself like what he would want for me, which is not to go down the same path he went down, which is very hard, because you know we were brothers and we were very alike. So like I find myself wanting to do things like that, but it keeps me focused. We've got the Berserk brand of sacrifice here. That's kind of like basically in the anime it's from. He has that mark on him, so demons come to try to fight him and take him to the underworld every night, and so he has to fight them off. And I kind of resonate with that, because after he died, like I definitely was fighting a lot of demons. I still do to this day, and I take a lot of pride in the fact that like I've struggled with like anxiety and depression and addiction like my whole life, and I still turned out relatively good, I would say. So that's kind of like a reminder that like I can make it through it. I have a Dragon Ball Z tattoo right here, because that's my favorite anime. That was my brother's favorite anime too. I have my mom's signature right there, because you know every good artist signs their painting or drawing afterwards. So I wanted to have my mom's signature on me, because I'm a work of art by that amazing woman. So I put that on me. Here I have Milo of Croton, the greatest Greek wrestler of all time. Basically, it's just about overcoming adversity and always carrying the weight on your shoulders, no matter how heavy it gets. And got the Stoic virtues right here: justice, temperance, wisdom, and courage. Don't ask me which ones are which. I just put it into Google Translate, and now they're on my body forever. So besides that, I have a bell behind my ear. That's based on the first poem that I ever wrote. I have 5 poetry books that I've published, and all of them came from that one poem, which was about my brother, because I was dealing with grief so hard. I didn't really know how to deal with it, so I just wrote something down. I didn't think about it. I've never tried to be good at it. I've always just used it as a way to kind of express myself in ways that on paper that maybe I can't with my words. And then after that, there's a whole bunch of other ones. Like I have a Berimbolo tattoo for JiuJitsu, because that's my favorite move. I love that one. That's like one of my favorite ones. But other than that, like yeah, all of them pretty much have a meaning. Even if they're stupid meanings, they all have a meaning. I think that I've always gravitated towards tattoos because I feel like they personify who you are as a person and like what you value in your life as like a tapestry. So like for me, like every time I get a tattoo, it's just another story I can tell about that point in my life. I may have a stupid tattoo, but I can be like, oh, this happened at this time, this is where I got it, and it's like a story. And so I'm obsessed with stories. I think that's why I love, jiu-jitsu. That's why I love, history. That's why I love everything that I love, because it's just one big story. And if I can have as many stories in my body as possible that look good, I'm gonna have them. So
we'll change gears a little bit. Can you talk to us about living in a van and chasing your jiu-jitsu dreams?
Yeah, so I actually, so when I first started training full time, I was 22 and I had left a job that was paying me basically 6 figures. That year we were projected to make. Because I had been going through a horrible time, and I always told myself, like, if I ever go through a bad time, like, I'm just gonna train, because that's always been the way I've coped with things. It's through the physical as well as the mental. So after that all kind of happened, I went from making almost 6 figures to making $500 a month, not even. So basically what that did was I had to cut back all my expenses. I ate 1 meal a day. I worked at a pizza buffet on the weekend so I could bulk back up so I could have energy for the rest of the week. And I just taught the kids classes at my old gym, and I had an apartment for a while that I had a roommate to help me cut the costs of my living. But I would say that was probably the happiest time of my life, even though I was in a very dark place and I was struggling mentally through a lot of battles. Just like the fact that I could dedicate myself to something that truly and holistically made me very happy, because this is one of the few places on earth that I feel like truly like tranquil and happy in, and to be able to be there all the time just really helped me move through a lot of things. Like I had a goal of being a world champion, I still do, but that goal isn't what drove me. The goal was to always get better at something, because I feel like as a man, if you're not getting better at something, that's when the devil creeps in, that's when your inadequacy creeps in, that's when depression and anxiety creeps in. So whether it's healthy or not, I just basically use jiu-jitsu as a coping mechanism. And there was one point where I was living in my car. I didn't have to, but one of my life goals was always to live out of my car for some reason. I don't know why. So I just wanted to satisfy that life goal and live in my car. And it was actually a very fun time. I loved being homeless. I wasn't really homeless because I could always go back to an apartment. I had my dad to stay with, but the fact that I could live off of so little and still be as happy as I was really important to me. It was just a fun time in my life, honestly. Like, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
We know that you have books for sale, or I shouldn't say, maybe you have a book for sale in the gym right now.
Yep.
I want you to further elaborate on, because writing and philosophy are big passions of yours, and how that kind of fits in with jiu-jitsu for you.
I think it's as important for me as jiu-jitsu is, and I think they complement each other. So my dad he has a philosophy degree, and he was actually going to get a doctorate in it before he married my mom and before he had me. So my whole life he always kind of taught me philosophy lessons, but when you're a kid you just don't listen to anything that your parents say, because you know better, because you've been on the planet for 13 years and they don't know what it's like to be you. But eventually the lessons started to seep in, and I really started to get into philosophy. That's like the only thing scholastically that I was interested in, like philosophy, psychology, and anatomy, like how the body works, how the mind works, and why are things the way they are. So I would say that writing for me, one, was a coping mechanism for me to be able to get through the grief that I was experiencing, and two, I have a very bad habit of thinking too much. So when I found when I think too much, I pretty much literally go insane. Like, I end up just being all over the place. So when I take the pen to the paper, those words can leave me. And honestly, like, even talking about what's in my head doesn't do it any justice, because I can never word it correctly. But I found that when I write it on the paper in a poetic form or in an essay form, that really helps me like process it and get it out of my head. Because I do believe that thoughts that are trapped in your head for too long end up becoming a detriment. So I try to write as much as I train. And I've noticed that if I don't write, that I end up falling back into like a depressive episode. And so the poetry, I've never like read a real poetry book that much. I don't try to be good at it. I just do it as a way to like express my thoughts. Like jiu-jitsu is an expression of my personality through my bodily movements, and writing to me is an expression of my personality through the written word. So taking all the philosophies that I've learned from my dad throughout my life, from different mentors and teachers that I've had, different friends, and putting that onto paper, to me is like how I'm going to cement my legacy. Like one of my life goals is to have a bookshelf of all the books that I've written. That way, you know, when I have kids, they can go through and genuinely learn everything about me. All the horrible things that I've gone through, all the great things I've gone through, the trials and tribulations I've gone through, my favorite memories. I think that that's the only way that I can convey that, because a lot of time when I speak, I can't put it into words with my mouth, but I can with my brain. So writing to me is just as necessary as like eating and drinking and sleeping. And the times I couldn't do any of those, that's what saved me. You know, like there have been times when I haven't slept for 50 hours straight, and all I did was write or train, and that's the only thing that kept me going. So I would say it's like a big part of my personality is my writing, and even if people don't understand it, at least it's a way for me to get out what I feel into the world, you know.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years, and what are some of your goals?
Good question. I would say, honestly, I don't really think 5 years in advance, generally because my whole life has been a calamity, train wreck in all the best ways. Like anytime I've planned something 5 years in advance, by the time 5 years comes around, I'm not even doing the same thing that I was doing, right? Like everything's different. 5 years ago, I was 19, I was still in college, and I lived in a different place, was with a different person, had a different set of ideas, philosophies, and ideologies. And as I grow as a person, that's kind of how I just base it. Like, okay, I have this goal now, but I'm willing for that goal to change. If I had to state my goals right now, I would say one of them is to become closer with God. I believe that I didn't have Him for my entire life, and I feel like a lot of my issues could be less severe now if I had Him. So I'm really putting a lot of effort into that, like praying every day and reading the Bible. That's probably my biggest goal right now. The second goal would be for me to have a family and to be able to provide for my wife and my future kids, and to give myself completely to that relationship, because I've had a bad habit in the past of directing my focus into areas that they shouldn't have been when I didn't direct them into the places where they should have been. So I really tried to learn from that lesson. Every goal I have is just me trying to fix a mistake that I've had in the past. After that, I want to become a master of whatever craft I'm in, whatever I find myself in. For me, that's writing, training, and I also want to be a good firefighter too, on top of that. But those two in specific, or in truth, are like my main goals. I believe that if I am a master of my own mind and of my own philosophy, then I can translate that to jiu-jitsu and vice versa. And to me, being a master of martial arts isn't being a world champion. It's being able to convey your ideas to people who know nothing about the subject that you're talking about. So if I can be a world champion martial artist, but I can't convey that to anyone, then that's useless. That's absolutely useless. There's nothing that I gain from that. Because the only true gain you have in the world is by providing for other people. And the moment you try to just provide for yourself, one, you're being selfish, and two, you lose all compassion, all love for the world. So to me, becoming a master of a martial art is the best way I can serve somebody, because I can take what I've learned and all the life lessons I've learned from it and give it to someone else. And that's like the only way that I know that I can be beneficial to this world, is by taking the skill that I've learned and giving it to other people in hopes that they learn the same thing that I did, which is that life and martial arts and philosophy are all linked together. And I truly believe that. So if I can master those things, then I can be as beneficial to the world as possible. Outside of that, I've got a couple other goals. Like I want to get more outside of my comfort zone, like talking to people. As I'm sure if you know me in person, like I probably don't introduce myself or say my name the first like 10 times I meet someone, and then I realize I haven't introduced myself. And I generally struggle in social settings. So I would like to get more out of my comfort zone and convey myself to the world better versus just keeping it all inside. And like I said, I would like to write a bunch of books and have those out there. But I would say the main things are just being less in the world, like less focused on what's happening politically or globally or economically, and just focusing on like the small circle that I can put my effort into. Because I'm not gonna end world hunger by teaching jiu-jitsu, but I can help, Johnny, if he comes in and he's having a hard time, I can show him the lessons that I've learned, and I can make Johnny feel like a better person and show him the path that I took that helped me the most, and he can maybe learn from that. It may not be what he wants to do, but he can take the lessons that I've learned and apply them to his own life. So that's kind of my life goal right now. It could probably change in 5 years, and it probably will. So.
Okay. What are the top 5 things on your bucket list?
I really don't have any. I've never had a bucket list. I enjoy my day so much.
If
and
you
what
died
I do.
tomorrow, what are 5 things that you wish you would have done?
Honestly, like travel's not really up there. I really don't know, because I've never thought, because I live a great day already. Like, my ideal birthday is just doing what I do every day. I feel like a bucket list for me would be like going to a big martial arts event would be really cool. I don't want to say it, but I want to do DMT or a psychedelic of some sort. I like that stuff. I think it actually is very beneficial towards your psychology and your mentality. I think a lot of the way I do see the world and feel the world is based off of like the things I've discovered in those moments. Don't arrest me if you see this and you're a police officer. I don't have any on me. I would like, the main thing I want is to be a father. Like that's obviously I can't birth a kid tomorrow, but if I could, I would. Bucket list. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank. I've never thought about a bucket list before. I would like to get to know my parents more. Like if I died tomorrow and I didn't know everything about them, that would really bother me. I would like to write a magnum opus, like the greatest book I've ever written. There are some that I like, but I don't think any of them have truly expressed who I am as a person. So I'm kind of working to find out what that is through various ways, like stories. Yeah, I mean, really just to be alive is like my bucket list item. Like as long as I do things that I enjoy throughout my day, and as long as I live as truthfully and honestly as I possibly can and give myself to the world, like that's all I need. I don't really need anything else external. I don't want a nice car, or I'm not aching to have a big house or anything like that. Stuff's fleeting and not meaningful at all. So
if money was no option, or let's say money was no worry.
Yep.
Okay. What would Tristan wake up and do every single day? Walk us through a perfect day in the life of Tristan.
Perfect day in the life of Tristan.
If money didn't matter.
If money didn't matter and I could provide for my family and I didn't have to worry about anything, I would wake up, I would come to the 6 a.m. class, I would train, and then I would walk to the most bougie coffee shop I possibly could, get a nice black coffee, because gotta stay fasted, and I would write in a very nice leather-bound notebook the ideas that I had that day, maybe the drills I wanted to do, the ideas I have for like stories and things like that. I would then walk back to the gym, do the 11 a.m. class, maybe even teach it, because I like teaching more than I like training. And then after that, cut up with the guys, which is the best part about training. And then I would go have lunch with my wife at her dad's house, because he's the best cook ever. And then from there, I would like to spend the rest of my day outside, like just walking or just being in nature. Reading, I would like to read a lot. Honestly, I probably wouldn't train at night though, because I think 2 sessions a day is good, and I would have my night more to myself. And what that would be is just me spending time with my wife, me reading and me writing. I would get food that I actually enjoy. Like I buy McDonald's right now because I can't really afford anything else, but I would probably go get an acai bowl after the 11 a.m. I would probably go to Panera Bread every day. Yeah, for me, if money was an issue, food would be the issue, because I would just be eating everything. But yeah, that's like my perfect day. And that's kind of what I do right now, just minus the food aspect and the buying of expensive coffee. I try to do those things every day, so that's kind of my ideal day. Oh, get into the water. I would like to get in, even though I can't swim, I would like to be able to get in the water at least once a day. Like being on a nice lake house, you know? And I would like to, at the end of the night, like cook with my wife, because she really enjoys cooking and I like being her sous chef. So that would be my ideal day, and just do that every single day. And honestly, I would go compete, but the only reason I like competing is visiting other gyms, getting the knowledge from competing, not winning. Losing and winning don't really matter to me, but I would like to just learn as much as I can from those people and the matches that I have, and then just like eat at a nice restaurant wherever I travel to. Like, that's my ideal version of travel, is just doing what I do here and doing it somewhere else. So that'd be like my ideal.
What kind of life do you think jiu-jitsu holds for you?
Well, I think jiu-jitsu is my life. Like, it's all I think. It's bad. It's unhealthy, but I think about it all day. Like, if you train with me, you know, you've seen my notes that I've taken on jiu-jitsu. I'm just addicted to it. I think jiu-jitsu and martial arts in general has taken me to places that I would have never dreamed of. If I stayed in the linear traditional path, I would be in college, getting a degree that I maybe not had much of a love for, but the world told me to do it. But I think that the greatest lessons I've ever learned have come from martial arts. And I don't care how much I've had to pay. I don't care how much time it's taken away from my social life or anything like that. Like, those lessons, I would pay 10 times the amount that I've learned. And the people that I've interacted with and the places I've seen, that to me is the true essence of life, you know. And I think as a man, every man strives for like some form of combat. That's why we play Army whenever we're kids. We don't even know what Army is. We don't even know what Commando is, but we love that stuff. And so I feel like that's why martial arts I've gravitated so much towards martial arts, is because I satiate that want for war, if you will, while also benefiting people and meeting new and amazing people. Yeah, I would say that martial arts is always going to be part of my life. It's not that I like fighting. Like, there's a big difference between fighters and martial artists. I think fighters, I respect them a lot for what they do. I could never do it. But I think they are missing the true substance of what they're doing. I think that a lot of people want to fight to prove they're a man, to show that they're better than other people. But I think they miss the true, like, they're grasping at straws, or that they're drinking from a cup of water, but they're not actually getting any sip of it. Being a martial artist is the greatest thing that I've ever done in my life, because it showed me different ways of thinking. It showed me towards philosophy. It showed me towards beautiful and amazing people. I'm not so much focused on the action as I am what happens from it. I really don't care. I would like to be a world champion, don't get me wrong. That'd be awesome. I would like to have a gold medal wrapped around my neck, but I don't base my self-worth on that. I base my self-worth on how much I know and what I can give to other people. So jiu-jitsu and martial arts as a whole, I am deeply entrenched in. Like, that's my whole life. And I see everything through the lens of a martial artist. If I'm dealing with, let's say I'm a firefighter, I'm on a call, and someone's being rude to me, you know, a fighter, in my eyes, would be like, what's this guy talking about? Like, he doesn't know I could kick his ass right now. He doesn't know who I am. But as a martial artist, and the philosophies that I've learned through it, I can say, you know what, this person's probably had a really hard day. They're probably in a very bad spot right now. They probably not had a good life, and I need to give them the best person that I can be. You know, because there are people like that who come into the gym. Like, it could be the worst day of their lives, but they show up. And it's my job as a human being and as a productive member of society to make their day better. You know, so I really don't hold any hate towards anybody. I really don't think negatively of anybody, because I understand the actions of everyone and the events leading up to it because of martial arts, because I've been there myself. I've been angry, I've been upset, and I know how to get people out of that, and I know what can cause people to go into that, you know. So I think just in a daily perspective, I'm always trying to personify the person that martial arts made me to be, because that is the best representation of a martial artist. And that is the best way to get people into it. Like, if I'm a good person, then everyone else is going to want to train. If I'm a horrible person, I'm conceited, I have a big ego, I'm always talking about how buff I am, how many fights I've won, no one's going to want to hang around that person. No one's going to want to do martial arts if that's the idea they have. So for me, martial arts is a way of life, for sure. And it's ended a long tangent of what that question was, but...
All right, is there anything else that you would like to add before we wrap this thing up?
I would like to say thank you to everyone who's made it possible for me to be here, the people that are still in my life, and maybe the people who have left my life, whether that be because they went to a better place or because, you know, maybe we just went our separate paths. I thank everyone that has helped me on the journey. I'm just a culmination of everyone I've ever met in my life. So without the people and the lessons they've taught me, I would not be here. I would like to say thank you to my grandmother, who passed away from cancer. She gave me a very loving life and showed me what true unconditional love is, and how important it is to focus on love rather than material possessions. And I would also like to thank my family. As disjointed as we are, I love every single one of them, and and I hold all of them very dear to my heart. So, yes, that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Tristan.
Thank you.